What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. So I'm still on this journey and just expressing some of my opinions about specific aspects of Gotham Knights that I really do enjoy and appreciate. I talked about the combat, that I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of the combat. I am spoiled in a sense, just having played a lot of other games. I have my expectations, but I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. On the other hand, I talked about the open world, huge part of what I actually like about the game. And one of my audience members actually, provided a good point and said the open world does not feel like it's alive in a sense. And which is interesting because I've played other games that do have, these nice open world parameters to them. Some of you've played Marvel Spider-Man. You've seen the way the world is actually delivered. There are civilians everywhere as you're, making your way through the city and gliding around. Or did I say gliding around? Webbing around. You get to see a lot of regular folk. You see cars. You see everything. It's a really lively game at night and both night and day in the way that the environment works. So this is actually pretty cool. If you go play, say, maybe another game like Tom Clancy's The Division, you're also going to realize that its world is also pretty solid. The way the game has developed its world, you're going to see that it's teeming with activity in a sense. Even if it may be a post-pandemic world, they've actually added some aspect to the game where you can play in a structural way. You can go back and do missions. You can go back and do activities that continue to respawn in the map. You can help the good guys. And, it's just a world that is worth touching. Now, here are a few things that you have to understand, and I feel a lot of us are glancing over when it comes to Gotham Knights. Games like these, even though like The Division is a game that is a co-op multiplayer game, and Spider-Man is a single-player game, you have to understand how both games were actually developed. So I'll go ahead in this video and kind of provide a little bit of context. And before anybody jumps in here, like one of my audience members did and said, you're defending the game like your life depends on it. I'm like, how can I let you criticize something that you've pretty much said something wrong about and not say anything about it? I don't care if it's Gotham Knights or if it's Call of Duty or if it's FIFA. If you say something, even if I cannot stand FIFA anymore, if you say something wrong about it, I kind of feel that, we need to correct that so that your criticism can be much more valid and pointed. So that's one of the reasons I'm actually making this video. I'm not trying to dog on anyone. I just want to provide a little bit of context that's available for us to kind of see how these game design choices are made. So first of all, Gotham Knights is a single player game that you can play 100% offline. That means you download the game, unplug your internet cable, I don't want to talk to anybody, and you can beat the entire game and enjoy the entire experience without having to deal with an internet connection. A game like Marvel Spider-Man is also like that. The difference, though, between Spider-Man and Gotham Knights is there is no multiplayer component. When you add a multiplayer component to a game, you change the entire design structure from ground up. Now, you can do your design in different ways. If you have solid machines, like say your PlayStation 5 and Xbox One, you can make your online play interesting in a way where if the game, or you don't even need the solid machines, you could just choose that. You can make the game an offline game, and then anybody that wants to actually join in the game has to actually join the world of the host. And then when they get disconnected, everybody kind of gets kicked out of an activity of some kind, depending on the parameters. You as a developer will have to define that, and some people will probably get kicked back to their own world. I think Gotham Knights is going to follow a slight aspect of this in a sense, which is similar to what Elden Ring did. Elden Ring allows for you to be able to, muster about 3 other players, but then if you get disconnected in a sense, if your internet connection maybe goes bad, the host stays where they are, and then the guests all go back to their own, in quote, lands between, depending on where they are. You, in your case, will probably be in Gotham. I think that's what Gotham Knights is doing. Now, does this answer the question of the open world population? Well, not yet. So let's look at that. If you're actually doing your open world population, you have to consider something. If your game is a single player game, you can go ahead and use your technology to actually populate your world and not necessarily worry about servers and all of that stuff. In fact, this technology has been actually available to studios like, say, Sony's, I would say umbrella studios in a sense. But not until recently did we get these solutions with the Unreal Engine 5. That's why it was a big deal, because this is not just something that you have to go work in, say, Sony or Rockstar to be able to do. You can get this in a free engine. This is what the revolution of the gaming industry has actually become. I mean, an entire world that is not going to basically break all of your, machine if you actually code well and optimize well. These are the new technologies of the Unreal Engine 5. And I think many of us in the gaming world didn't necessarily realize that this has not been available to everyone, but specific gaming developers have had access to some technology like this so they could run their games and make their worlds teeming and populated. Not saying that Unreal Engine 4 could not do it, but in a multiplayer setting, it's very challenging to pull off. I don't know who would even, do something like that, because from a, efficiency perspective, it makes no sense for you to be able to go do something like this and put all that workload on those machines. So thinking about this, a game like Tom Clancy's The Division, which is on the old hardware, but is able to still run all of these processes, populate a world and all, what it does is it kind of fakes this by putting all of its AI on the server of, their game. So somewhere in Ubisoft, there are these computers that are running the bad guys. You and your friends and everybody else that's playing, you're experiencing this, and that's why The Division requires for you to be connected to the internet for you to be able to play it. If not, you're not going to be able to play the game. It's crazy, I know, but there's no offline version of a game like this. And this game, I've actually put in at least, I don't even want to say it, over 1,000 hours in this game itself. And every single bit of those 1,000 hours, I was tethered to an internet connection, compared to, say, maybe the Arkham games or the Spider-Man games. So in looking at these different development parameters, you have to actually acknowledge it when you're looking at Gotham Knights. And I think if you do that, it will really make the entire conversation, in a sense, palatable for anybody who may be wondering as to why Gotham Knights open world doesn't seem like one that's teeming with all of this life as compared to, say, Miles Morales or maybe other games you've played like Red Dead Redemption 2, which makes me bring this other thing up because many people have cited in our conversations, but Red Dead Redemption 2 seems to be a really big game. How are they able to populate the world? Good question, because Rockstar has the technology to make populated world experiences. They've been doing this since GTA, who knows when, and they've been able to make these teeming worlds that are very interactive. Not only that, if you decide to play Red Dead Redemption 2 online, you actually have to log into an entirely different system where you create a new character and do all of these other activities. So that shows you that that particular experience, in quote, Red Dead Online, is going to be hosted on Rockstar servers. So that world is more than likely, if it's populated, is doing the trick again that the Division is doing by hosting AI parameters, saving your data, your progress, and all that in the online system. And so I guess Gotham Knights is going to have to do this thing where you can go almost seamlessly. I don't know how their matchmaking system is going to work. I need to make a whole video about that later on. But maybe you can go seamlessly from single player to multiplayer. And this is probably going to rock the parameters that, say, Elden Ring is using. Or maybe it'll have to be a very specific type of thing where, you go to the Belfry and then you summon this person or something like that. I don't know how that's going to work in order for you to be able to enjoy the co-op experience, thereby actually maybe transitioning you to like some kind of a middle ground in a sense. I don't really know Unreal Engine server technology and all of that, but I do know when it's time for you to make an online game, your code has to be entirely replicated, meaning you'll be developing each aspect of your game very differently. In fact, when I saw replication, I just laughed. I said, this is insane. This is not even human. And I don't know why these game developers even always want to jump into these multiplayer games, but I think, they have the expertise and they have the knowledge and the people that can do it. And so they go ahead and do it. So for most of us that are asking these questions, I'm happy to provide as much answers as I know based on my own small knowledge, and so that you can see how this all works. Maybe in the next iteration of a video game they're making, they can take advantage of the Unreal Engine 5 and start to add much more lively worlds, because this tech is actually revolutionary. Some of you, I don't think you even understand how this changed the industry in one day. Once they brought out this Matrix, demo or whatever it is, it just, I mean, it really sent everything spiraling, because you sitting on, wherever you are, you can actually take these systems and actually work with them and make a video game that's teeming with life and all of the above. It is no longer a system, or these are no longer systems that are exclusive to the big companies. Epic Games has brought it to your doorstep, into your living room, literally. So I want to hear your thoughts about all of this in the comment section. There's more that can be discussed over this, but I really don't want to take too much of your time. Thank you very much for indulging me, and I appreciate your time and audience. Peace out.